What is a revisionist Western? The revisionist Western, also called the anti-Western, is a subgenre of the Western film, called a post-classical variation of the traditional Western. The revisionist subverts the myth and romance of the traditional by means of character development and realism to present a less sympathetic view of life in the Old West. Westerns have been an enduring and beloved part of movies. There's a romanticism linked to this genre. There can sometimes be confusion as to what actually constitutes a Western, a problem that usually arises because of the subgenre of Westerns known as revisionist Westerns. There are some who argue that traditional Westerns are actually outdated and have no real place in today's world. Please like, share and subscribe to get my new videos. High Noon, 1952. John Wayne labelled it the most un-American thing he'd seen in his life. High Noon was one of the first revisionist Westerns. Gary Cooper won an Oscar for his portrayal of Will Kane, an aging marshal faced with a choice between running scared or facing almost certain death when a gang of vicious outlaws return on the noon train, seeking revenge. He faces the gang only because he has little other choice, rather than any macho posturing. The rest of the community leave him alone instead of rallying around the man who cleaned up their town in the first place, leaving a bitter note when he eventually triumphs. Johnny Guitar, 1954, one of the strangest westerns ever made. Sterling Hayden's title character was more or less a bystander. The film follows the murderous relationship between saloon owner Vienna, Joan Crawford, and the bitterly jealous Emma, Mercedes McCambridge, who just wants to run her hated rival out of town. Johnny Guitar stands alone in the genre, perhaps because it isn't really a western. It is more like a technicolor melodrama that just happens to be set in the Old West. Two imposing female characters are front and center. Crawford and McCambridge give impressive performances. Crawford was infamous for feuding with people around Hollywood, so it was no surprise that she and McCambridge had a real-life beef that energized their on-screen relationship. There's something strangely realistic about the look of wild delight on Emma's face as she watches Vienna's saloon burn.
How many men have you forgotten?
As many women as you remember.
What took you so long?
No two men have ever loved so dangerously.
Look at him. Fingers just itching on the trigger. I can't wait to shoot me.
No two women ever hated so viciously.
I'm going to kill you.
If I don't kill you first.
Johnny Guitar. It's destined to be one of the year's most acclaimed pictures. Starring Joan Crawford, Sterling Hayden, Mercedes McCambridge, and Scott Brady, with Ward Bond, John Carradine, and Ben Cooper. Daringly dramatic, thrillingly exciting, in gorgeous true color by Consolidated.
Get it over with, Pete.
What do you say, Mr. McIvers?
Maybe we ought to what?
Nothing.
All right.
I can't. Not a woman.
I'll give $100. You'll have to do it yourself, Emma.
For a few dollars more, 1965. Sergio Leone became a big name internationally. His spaghetti westerns changed the face of westerns. His view of the West was more morally flexible than early Hollywood westerns, with few clearly defined good and bad guys. Everyone wears hats of dark shades between the classic white and black. Also gone are the cleaner cowboys of old. Leone loved his ultra close-ups on craggy, sweaty, crooked, unshaven, and just plain ugly faces. The Dollars trilogy had Clint Eastwood play his laconic anti-hero. Going from Rawhide to The Man with No Name made him an instant star. The first film, A Fistful of Dollars, was groundbreaking, and the last, The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, is regarded as Leone's masterpiece. The Wild Bunch, 1969. If they move, kill 'em. William Holden's Pike Bishop instructs his unreliable gang during the opening robbery. The line serves as a thesis for the whole film. When shot in an old western, they usually just clutch their chest and collapse. With the Vietnam War in full swing, Maverick, Sam Peckinpah, wanted to show the ugly nature of violence. Gunfights aren't just fun and games. He wanted the audience to leave the cinema fully purged. Many of them just felt sickened and alienated, and Peckinpah later regretted his decision to make The Wild Bunch so violent. It's tough to watch even now. It's a brutal elegy for the Old West as the era passes into modernity, following a group of desperate men who are out of options and out of time.
But there were still a few trails for the kind who'd be cold before they were tame. They called them the Wild Bunch. Pike had been a gentleman of principle. He still had a principle or two.
We're not getting rid of anybody. We're gonna stick together just like it used to be. When you side with a man, you stay with him, and if you can't do that, you're like some animal. You're finished.
Dutch had dug for gold. He gave up digging.
How many cases did you take from the train?
We lost one on the trail.
He stole it.
Lo quiero vivo.
Relax, it's just some champagne we ordered.
Sykes had been a gunman in his day.
We gotta get him back. How?
Gorch had been trying for years. Sometimes he almost...
I want you to meet my fiancée.
McCabe and Mrs. Miller, 1971. McCabe and Mrs. Miller is one of a handful of masterpieces that define revisionist westerns, set in a muddy, chilly frontier town. Warren Beatty and Julie Christie play against type as a shady, mumbling gambler and a wily brothel madam. These two find one another against a backdrop of unforgiving nature: hard liquor, gambling, prostitution, and violence. The grimy, melancholy atmosphere is enhanced by Leonard Cohen's mournful songs and incredible cinematography. He uses a technique called flashing, purposely exposing the negative to light, to give the film a dreamy, underexposed look, making it look like vintage photos.
Hard to hold the hand of anyone who's reaching for the sky just to surrender. Who is reaching for the sky just to surrender. It's true that all the men...
Blazing Saddles, 1974. Blazing Saddles has more going on than farting cowboys. Both dated and ahead of its time. Cleveland Little plays Bart, the bright-eyed new sheriff of Rock Ridge, who receives a hostile welcome from the townsfolk on account of being black. He partners up with an alcoholic gunslinger, the Waco Kid, Gene Wilder, to overcome the dastardly Attorney General who has designs on the town. The insistent use of racial slurs will make a modern audience wince, but Brooks was ruthless in using the film to send up and point the finger at intolerance and bigotry. He uses buffoonery to lighten the tone. Brooks shows simple folk of the West talking as they would have done, especially when confronted with a black sheriff. Sadly, certain parts of America still talk and think that way.
The heroic sheriff rallies his citizens in the wildest finish the West has ever seen.
Ow! Oh! Ow! Have you ever seen such cruelty?
Unforgiven, 1992. Eastwood made his career playing Western anti-heroes, from The Man with No Name to High Plains Drifter. Characters driven by greed and revenge. In Unforgiven, he ripped that down. Eastwood also produced and directed. Plays Will Money, a repentant bounty hunter, who now is trying to make an honest living after his wife passes away. After two cowboys cut up a prostitute's face, and the local sheriff, Bill Daggett, Gene Hackman, lets them off with a fine, the woman's co-workers come together and offer a bounty on their heads. Aging, poor, and concerned about his kids, Money has little choice but to accept. Unforgiven is an inversion of the classic Western tropes and Eastwood's screen persona. Money is haunted by his past, as he was indiscriminate about killing men, women, and children for money. When it comes to taking lives, he can't ignore the killer inside him.
You still have that Spencer rifle, huh?
Yeah. He's my partner. He don't go, I don't go.
What's it come to 3 ways?
Still, and that don't mean I'm gonna go back to being the way I was.
Are you really gonna kill them cowboys?
Assassins. Or men of low character.
Savages! Assassins!
Oh, I guess they have it coming.
We all have it coming, kid.
Some legends will never be forgotten. Some wrongs can never be forgiven.
Any man don't want to get killed. Better clear on out the back.
Unforgiven.
Dead Man, 1995. The films of Jim Jarmusch are an acquired taste. The cult director's doodlings feel like they have some purpose in Dead Man. His acid western that takes a spiritual look at white settlers and their relationship with the land and the indigenous people of America. Shot in stark black and white, the film makes the most of Johnny Depp at his most soulful and photogenic, coming at the end of the early 90s hot streak that made him one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Depp is restrained as William Blake, an accountant travelling across the country for a job that is no longer available. After he is shot and wounded, Blake falls in with a Native American called Nobody, Gary Farmer, who serves as his guide towards the spirit world. Django Unchained, 2012. Jamie Foxx plays Django, a former slave made a free man by Dr. King Schultz, Christopher Waltz, a bounty hunter posing as a travelling dentist. Django wants to find and rescue his wife, Brimhilda. Their trail leads to the plantation of the cruel Calvin Candy, Leonardo DiCaprio, a filthy rich dandy who enjoys arranging mandingo fights, where slaves are forced to fight each other to the death. Tarantino has courted controversy throughout his career for his love of using the N-word, and here he seems to relish the opportunity to even the score a little for the horrors suffered by African Americans in the past. Samuel L. Jackson also aces his part as Warren, Candy's butler, who is as vehemently racist as his boss.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
How do you like the bounty hunting business?
Kill white folks and they pay you for it? What's not to like? I like the way you die, boy.
He is a rambunctious sword, ain't he?
What's your name? Django.
The D is silent.
The Rider, 2017. There are far more dangers to being a cowboy than Indians shooting arrows at you. Non-professional actor and former rodeo star Brady Jandreau plays a slightly fictionalized version of himself, a young man recovering from a life-threatening injury that left him with brain damage. A tender and poignant portrait of a lifestyle unknown to many, beautifully shot and possessing a sense of place, people, and dialect. set up like a classic underdog story, making us both fearful of what might happen if he does ride the Bronco again, while also hoping he can fulfill his dream with one last shot at glory.
Who's this?
That's Apollo.
Wow, that's amazing. A horse that never had nobody on his back before. Where are you going with that? I'm going to the rodeo.
You don't need to go ride today.
I'm entered and I'm riding.
Go kill yourself then.
Glad your mom ain't here. You and her could be stubborn together.
I believe God gives each of us a purpose. The horse is trying to cross the prairie.
If you want to see all my new videos as they come up, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Catch all my other videos by looking at my channel. The link is in the description. Leave me your comments. Check out my Facebook page as well. Like and share. I am Wrangler. Adios. See you again soon.
Interesting facts about famous people.